The scream did not sound human. It ripped through the marble halls of the Ikoyi mansion like a blade, high and wild, and then came the scalding hiss of water on flesh. Jordan Okoye sprinted toward the kitchen, his long strides slamming on the polished floor, heart punching in his chest. He rounded the doorway and froze. Vanessa stood over Mama Nkem with an electric kettle held high, steam crawling from its spout. The old woman was on her knees, arms raised, headscarf damp and slipping, as the boiling water rained across her forearms and chest. Pots clattered. The house cat bolted beneath the island counter. For one suspended second Jordan could not move. Then instinct shattered the silence. "Vanessa!" he roared, grabbing a towel from the handle of the oven. "Are you insane?" He rushed forward. Vanessa's eyes flashed, some mix of rage and shock, and she dropped the kettle. It bounced, spilled more water, and rolled with a hollow clank. Jordan wrapped the towel around Mama Nkem's arms, pulling her back from the spreading puddle. The old woman trembled and gasped, her eyes wet with pain. "It burns, NWM," she whispered, voice thin. "It burns?" Jordan's mind split. Part of him focused on cooling, lifting, calling for help. Part of him, cold and stunned, fixed on the image of his wife holding the kettle like a weapon. He looked up at her in disbelief. "What did you do?" Vanessa took a step back, hair wild against her silk robe. She grabbed me," she stammered. "She tried to hit me with the kettle. I pulled it away. It slipped." The lie sounded like a plate cracking. Gambo, the driver, burst through the back door. He saw the scene, swore under his breath, and snatched a bowl of ice from the freezer. Jordan guided Mama Nkem to the table, his hands shaking as he draped the ice towel across her blistering skin. "Car. Now," Jordan said, voice flat and distant, the way it gets when the world turns to glass. Vanessa stood rooted, hands trembling at her sides. I'll call the hospital. It was an accident." Jordan didn't answer her. He lifted Mama Nkem, small, lighter than his memory, and carried her out to the waiting SUV. The morning was bright, Lagos heat already lifting off the driveway. Palm fronds barely stirred. Life dared to go on. He strapped her into the back seat while Gambo threw open the gate. "Hold on, Mama," Jordan murmured. "I'm here." As the SUV shot into traffic, horns wove together in a frantic song. Gambo took the third mainland bridge like a man racing a storm. Jordan cradled Mama's hand. Once, when he was 9, she had taken his tiny fingers in her own as they crossed a flooded street in ABA, telling him to step where she stepped and he would not sink. He had not forgotten. "Easy," she whispered now, breath hissing. "Do not quarrel in your heart." Jordan swallowed. "I won't." At the emergency entrance, nurses rushed them in. The smell of antiseptic. The buzz of fluorescent lights. A doctor with kind eyes, Adebayo on the name tag, met them with brisk calm and questions that clipped the air. "Hot water," Jordan said. "Hands and chest." "She's elderly." "Any medical conditions?" "Hypertension. Arthritis. Strong as iron." Dr. Adebayo nodded to the nurse. "Saline flush. Monitor vitals. We'll manage the burns and control shock." They vanished through swinging doors. Jordan was left alone with the echo of his own pulse. He paced. He sat. He stood again. In one corner, a small boy cried into his mother's lap. In another, a young man stared at a cracked phone with the focus of prayer. Everything felt too bright. He called his friend Marcus in Atlanta without knowing why. "Bro, say a prayer," he said when the line picked up. "For Mama." "I'm on my knees," Marcus answered, voice thick with sleep and worry. "What happened?" Jordan stared at the far wall. He saw Vanessa's face again, the angle of the kettle. "I don't know yet," he whispered. "I don't know." Vanessa arrived 10 minutes later, sunglasses on, lips pressed thin. She did not look at him as she took a chair across the corridor. The robe was gone. Now she wore straight-leg jeans and a white blouse, hair slicked back like a defense. A nurse approached with a clipboard and Vanessa stood quickly, shoulders square. Jordan watched the exchange, a murmur, a practiced nod, and felt, with a deep internal shiver, that she was managing a story. Dr. Adebayo returned after what felt like hours but was only 40 minutes. He removed his cap, eyes soft. "We controlled what we could," he said. "Her burns are severe. The shock was worse. The heart, it gave out. I am very sorry." Words do not sound the same when they are lowering a body between them. The syllables exist but they fade even as they are spoken. Jordan leaned against the cold wall and closed his eyes. His hands came up to his face and found no tears. Instead there was a dry, strangled heat. In his chest a rope pulled tight. "Can I see her?" he asked. They led him to a quiet room where the air hummed softly. Mama lay beneath a white sheet, the edges tucked with the tender precision only strangers ever manage. Her headscarf had been neatly retied as if kindness could still be braided. Jordan pulled a chair close. He thought of a kitchen in ABA, the smell of firewood and pepper soup, a woman with laugh lines like sun rays, telling a skinny boy that money cannot buy a second heart, so keep the first one good. He touched her forehead lightly. It was cool. He didn't realize he was holding an envelope until he felt the damp paper crinkle in his fist. A nurse had pressed it into his hand in the hall, saying, this was inside her wrapper. On the envelope, in Mama's careful script, was his name, Jordan. Inside was a simple house key attached to a faded ribbon and a note written in blue ink. The first line took his breath. The truth is in the blue trunk. Below it, in smaller letters as if she was running out of time, do not trust your wife. Jordan sat very still, the room suddenly louder, like the building had shifted closer to the road. He slid the key into his pocket with a hand that wouldn't stop shaking. He looked at Mama and felt the brine of grief finally break. When he stepped back into the corridor, Vanessa was waiting, sunglasses off, eyes red but dry. She reached for him. He did not move. Jordan, she whispered, voice stiff with grief or the shape of it. I'm sorry. I never wanted. Don't, he said softly. Not now. Her face hardened by a degree. We have to be careful. People talk. People watched, Jordan replied. Gambo saw. There are cameras in the kitchen. Her gaze flickered, almost imperceptibly, and then steadied. Then they'll show it was an accident. Before he could answer, two uniformed officers approached with a woman in plain clothes. The woman had a badge clipped to her belt and the calm of someone who has heard every version of a story before. She introduced herself as Detective Amara Jones. Her voice was gentle but direct. I'm very sorry for your loss, she said. We have to take statements about what happened at your residence. Vanessa spoke first, words rolling quick and sure. Detective, it was a terrible accident. The house help left the kettle boiling. Mama slipped. I tried to catch it. Please, I don't want scandal. Detective Jones nodded, eyes unreadable. She turned to Jordan. Sir? Jordan inhaled, a long steadying breath. He told her what he had seen with simple words and a hard mouth. Vanessa's jaw clenched with each sentence. When he finished, Gambo, summoned by a call, confirmed the panic and the burn and the scream no one could forget. Detective Jones listened without interruption, only tapping a small note into her phone. We'll need to review your CCTV footage to corroborate the sequence, she said finally. Of course, Jordan replied. It's backed up on the server room West Wing. My head of security can. Already checked. One officer cut in, reading a message on his device. Sir, your security lead says the kitchen feed for the morning is gone. Vanessa's hand flew to her mouth. Gone? How can it be gone? Detective Jones tilted her head. Deleted? Not just deleted, the officer said. Logs show manual wipe with admin fingerprint at 8:17 a.m. Jordan felt the day tilt again. Whose fingerprint? The officer lifted his eyes. We'll confirm at the house. An orderly pushed a cart past them, wheels squeaking. Somewhere a monitor beeped, steady and indifferent. Jordan rubbed his temples, the beginnings of a storm gathering behind his eyes. Detective, Vanessa said, voice quivering just enough. Are we suspects? Right now we're gathering facts, Jones replied. You're both free to go. But please remain available. I'll be visiting the residence this afternoon. Detective, Jordan asked, can I take my mother? Can I take Mom and Kem home? To prepare her burial? In a moment, Jones said gently. We'll need a signed release. Vanessa shifted closer to Jordan, lowering her voice. We need to put out a statement, she whispered. Before people twist it. Say it was a domestic accident. Honor her memory. You know Lagos. Jordan stared at her. There, beneath the gloss and grief, he saw calculation flicker like a traffic light. He kept his face blank while the thought from the note echoed in his mind. Do not trust your wife. On their way out, a young nurse hurried after them, holding a small clear bag. Sir, she called to Jordan, this was with the patient's belongings. Inside the bag lay a thin gold chain and a tiny charm, an old key charm, twin to the real key now warming Jordan's pocket. The nurse pressed the bag into his hand. She told me to give it to her son, she said softly. Vanessa leaned in. She meant you, she said as if daring him to disagree. You know she always called you her son. Jordan closed his fist around the bag. I know what she meant. Detective Jones' phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then at them. "Mr. Okoye, Mrs. Okoye," she said, "one more thing. A report just came in from your neighbors. Around 7:45 a.m., someone was seen leaving your service entrance carrying a small blue trunk." Jordan's breath stopped. Vanessa blinked slowly. "Blue trunk?" she echoed. "We don't own." Jordan turned toward her, the air between them suddenly charged. "We do," he said. "Mama's." Detective Jones watched both of their faces and slid her notebook into her pocket. "I'll see you at the house." As they stepped into the sunlit parking lot, the city roared beyond the hospital gate, Okadas weaving, hawkers calling, the wind lifting heat from the asphalt. Vanessa reached for Jordan's arm again. He pulled away. "I'm riding with Gambo," he said. "You're angry," she whispered. "At grief, at me, at the world. But you will remember who you are." Jordan looked at the gleam of the day in her eyes and saw only fog. He forced himself to speak evenly. "I remember who raised me." He watched her climb into her car and speed off toward the island, a white streak swallowed by traffic. He stood for a moment beside the SUV, the note heavy in his pocket, the world suddenly full of keys and locked rooms. Gambo opened the door, eyes searching his. "Oga?" Jordan slid into the seat and stared through the windshield at a future he had not planned. "Home," he said. The SUV rolled forward, the bridge rising before them like a question. At that exact moment, Jordan's phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. He glanced down. A photo filled the screen, Mama's old blue trunk, its brass corners dented, sitting open on a floor he did not recognize. Inside, on a folded wrapper, lay a thick envelope marked with his name and one more line scrawled in a shaky hand. "If you are reading this, your wife has already chosen." The image blurred under his grip. He looked up at the road, jaw set, as the city opened wide and the hunters of truth began to move. The gates swung open and Gambo eased the SUV into the wide driveway lined with hibiscus. In the daytime, the Ikoyi mansion looked like a magazine picture. Glass, stone, careful symmetry. But Jordan felt as if every window was an eye. The guards stood straighter when they saw his face. Someone muttered, "So sorry, sir." He nodded without hearing. Inside, the air conditioning carried a cold smell of lemon polish. Jordan's footsteps echoed as he crossed the foyer toward the server room, the west wing sealed by a biometric pad. His hand hovered a beat over the sensor. He could still hear Detective Jones' voice. Manual wipe, admin fingerprint. He pressed his thumb. The lock clicked open. The server room was a neat forest of black towers and blinking lights. A framed checklist hung on the wall, signed each week by Uche, head of security. Today's line was blank. Jordan logged in. The interface blinked to life. He navigated to camera's kitchen archive. Gaps stared back at him like missing teeth. 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. gone. He pulled up the log. A red entry, admin erase, 8:17 a.m. fingerprint ID. Jordan stared at the initials. V for Vanessa. He took a slow breath, steadying his hands. In his pocket, the key pressed against his leg like a small insistence. "Boss," Gambo said from the doorway, "Detective Jones is 5 minutes out." Jordan nodded without turning. "Tell Uche to meet us in the kitchen. And bring the house help. Everyone who saw morning service." They met in the bright white kitchen where it had started. Someone had scrubbed the floor too clean. The kettle sat empty, polished as if it had never hissed at all. Uche arrived with his tablet, broad shoulders tense. Behind him came two housekeepers, Ama, a Ghanaian woman who had been with them for 4 years, and Ife, a quiet young girl with nervous hands. Gambo leaned on the island, jaw set. "I need the truth," Jordan said. "All of it." Ama spoke first. "Sir, breakfast was at 7. Maman Kem was making pepper tea for her cough. Madam came in, asked for lemon water. Then I carried plates to the patio. I heard shouting. When I turned, kettle fell. Madam was holding it." "Shouting?" Jordan asked. Ama looked at the floor. "Madam was angry?" She asked Mama why she touched her phone. Mama said, "Child, I only moved it to clean. That's all I heard before. Ife frowned, searching memory. "I saw someone in the corridor at 7:40, she whispered. "Carrying a box. Blue with brass corners." "Who?" Jordan asked. Ife shook her head. "I only saw the back. Tall. Cap." Uche cleared his throat. "Sir, with respect, the kitchen feed is gone. But corridor cams still have clips. The blue trunk appears on camera at 7:46. The face is covered by a mask. The person used an exit to the staff lane." Jordan's jaw tightened. "Show me." Uche mirrored the footage to the kitchen screen. Grainy but clear enough. A figure in a black cap and mask, wearing a gray hoodie and slim jeans, pushing a dolly with a familiar blue trunk strapped down. The person moved with a purpose that made Jordan's skin prickle. Not hurrying. Not hiding. A practiced calm. The time stamp marked 7:46 a.m. The figure turned at the service exit and for a heartbeat, the camera caught a detail. A small scar along the left wrist, pale against brown skin. Gambo leaned closer. I know that wrist, he said softly. I've seen it turn the gear of the white coupe. Jordan's eyes flicked to him. Whose? Gambo swallowed. Madam's cousin. Troy. Troy. The name landed like a small rock. Vanessa's cousin from Houston, who had arrived 3 months ago to help with charity projects. He had a loose smile and a gym body, and Jordan had always felt something restless in his presence, as if Troy kept a bag half-zipped in his mind. Before Jordan could speak, a gentle knock sounded. The detective stepped in, blazer folded over her arm, afro pulled into a neat puff. She greeted the room, introduced the 2 officers with her, and let the quiet sit a moment before she began. We'll take statements, she said, but first I need to secure any devices and see your server logs. She looked at Jordan. And I'd like to walk through the house with you. They started in the kitchen where she took measured notes, asked precise questions. She examined the kettle's handle, the angle of the spout, the splash radius. She ran a finger along the counter edge and then studied her fingerprint as if the truth might powder up from her skin. The wipe at 8:17, she asked Uche, who had admin access? 3 people, Uche replied. Myself, Mr. Okoye and Mrs. Okoye. Is there a way to forge a fingerprint? She asked. Hard, Uche said. Not impossible. Detective Jones hummed. Hard is not impossible, she repeated, more to the room than to him. And not necessary if the owner of the finger is willing. Vanessa's heels clicked on tile. She entered with careful poise, a pearl stud at each ear, grief arranged like a veil. Detective, she said with a practiced sigh, I just finished speaking with PR about a statement. We want to honor Mama but keep the details simple. The market is jittery. You understand. Jones met her with a neutral gaze. Where were you at 8:17 a.m., Mrs. Okoye? Vanessa blinked. Here with the nurses. I drove to the hospital at 8. Your phone location will confirm? Jones asked. Of course, Vanessa said too quickly. My phone is right here. She held it up, then remembered something and glanced at Jordan. I lost it for a moment this morning. Mama moved it. Then everything went crazy. Jones nodded. We'll need to review your device. Vanessa caught Jordan's eye and tried a soft smile she used to wear at fundraisers. It did not land. They moved to the east hallway. Jones paused beneath the corridor camera. We believe someone removed a blue trunk at 7:46, she said. Do you keep a trunk like that? Jordan's mouth felt dry. He reached into his suit pocket and pulled out the key on the faded ribbon. He held it up, and for a second it was as if the house itself leaned forward to look. Mama did, he said. Old. Well. From ABA. Where was it stored? Jones asked. In her room, Jordan replied. No one else had the key. Jones looked at the key again, then at Vanessa. Who knew about the trunk? Vanessa lifted a shoulder. I've seen it. It's old. Sentimental. I never cared for junk. Jordan felt a hot spark at the word. Junk. He swallowed it back. Detective, may we check Mama's room? They walked together, a small procession. The door to the room stood ajar. Warm light pooled on a quilt Mama had hand-stitched years ago. Her shelf of prayer books leaned with notes tucked inside. A small portable radio sat quiet on the dresser. The corner where the trunk should have been was a sharp square of absence. Dust marked the floor where the wheels had rolled out. Jones crouched, eyeing the scuffed wood. Someone knew how to move without a fuss, she said. No panic. No drag marks. Sir, Uche called from the doorway, tablet buzzing. We pulled a street cam 2 blocks down. Blue trunk goes into a white van at 7:51. The plate is covered, but there's a sticker in the back window, Third Coast Logistics. Houston slang, Gambo murmured. Third Coast. Gulf. Vanessa's hand tightened on her phone. What are you implying? No implications, Jones said mildly. Only paths. Jordan stood by the window and looked out at the small lemon tree Mama had planted the week they moved in. The grief came in a cool wave now, not weeping but heavy. He touched the key again. The truth is in the blue trunk. Jones' phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then turned to Jordan. Sir, I'll need to take a copy of all server logs and your household staff list. We're also placing a request for your wife's device records. Can you make yourself available at my office at 6 p.m. to formalize statements? Yes, he said. Vanessa stepped closer, voice low and urgent. Jordan, can we talk? Alone. Jones looked between them. I'll give you 5 minutes, she said, and stepped into the hall with the others. When they were alone, Vanessa let out a long breath. For a moment the polish slipped. You want the truth? She said. Here it is. Mama never liked me. She smiled and cooked and called me daughter, but she poked around my things, judged my clothes, mocked my family. Today she went too far. She went through my phone. She found messages. She confronted me. She grabbed the kettle first. I tried to stop her. It fell. That's the truth. Jordan watched her for a long count of 5. What messages? He asked. Her eyes flinched. It's not what you think. I think someone deleted footage, he said. I think a trunk is missing. I think a man with your cousin's wrist scar rolled it out. I think Mama died telling me not to trust you. Vanessa's composure trembled, then stiffened like cloth soaked and left in the sun. We built this life together, she said. Your companies, your image, your charities. You are Jordan Okoye because I made you believe you could be. You owe me protection. He almost laughed. You want protection from the truth? I want you to remember your name, she said. We go out, we stand at the gate, we tell the press it was an accident, we honor her with a grand service and we move on. Do you understand? Scandal kills money. Jordan took a step forward until he could see the gold flecks in her dark eyes. Money did not raise me, he said. A woman did. They stood in the quiet and heard the house ticking as if a clock had been tucked into its walls. Somewhere down the hall, a door closed softly. Vanessa looked past Jordan's shoulder at the empty square where the trunk had been. For the first time he saw fear move like a shadow across her face. I didn't take it, she whispered. I swear. I don't know what's inside that box. But if you open it and bring what's inside into the light, we are both finished. Jones re-entered with neat timing as if summoned by the word finished. Apologies, she said. Time. Jordan nodded, every motion feeling deliberate. Detective, he said, there's a storage facility in Surulere I used before we moved here. Mama kept old things there years back. If the trunk is not found, that's a place to check. Jones scribbled a note. Address. I'll send it, he said. They walked back toward the foyer together. As they passed the study, Jordan's phone buzzed again. A known number. This time it wasn't a photo. It was a short video clip, 5 seconds, of the blue trunk being snapped shut by 2 hands. The camera panned up. A face leaned close, mask on, cap low, but the eyes, sharp, amused, were unmistakable to anyone who had watched him long enough. Then the clip cut to black. A message followed. Meet me at Freedom Way by the old billboard, 9 p.m. if you want what's inside. Come alone. Gambo saw his boss's face change and took a half step forward. Oga? Jordan slid the phone into his pocket, heartbeat steadying into a hard drum. Nothing yet. Jones watched him carefully but said nothing. Vanessa's gaze hunted his. Jordan did not give her a place to rest. At the door, a low rumble grew like thunder. He pulled it open to find a line of cameras and microphones gathering by the gate, the Lagos press scented by rumor and ready to feast. A reporter he recognized called out, Mr. Okoye, is it true your mother died in a domestic accident? Before Jordan could answer, a voice behind the reporters cut through the heat. Domestic accident? The voice scoffed. Ask him who paid me to erase the footage. The crowd parted. A young technician in a blue jumpsuit stepped forward, palms raised. His eyes skipped from Jordan to Vanessa and back again. I'll talk, he said. But not out here. Jones moved like a blade, fast and controlled. Sir, she said to the technician, you're coming with me. The technician nodded, eyes wide. Yes, Ma. He glanced once more at Jordan as if asking forgiveness or courage. I have the original files, he added softly. And a name. The porch seemed to tilt. Jordan felt the key digging into his palm and realized he was clutching it like a weapon. Whose name? Jones asked, pen ready. The technician's lips parted, but his answer was drowned by a sudden, high hiss, the sound of a tire slashed somewhere along the drive. Everyone turned at once. In that split second, out of the corner of his eye, Jordan saw a figure slip from the side gate and vanish into the afternoon glare, a gray hoodie flickering like a fish in shallow water. Troy, Gambo breathed. And Jordan knew the night would not bring sleep. Only the old billboard on Freedom Way, a missing trunk, a technician with a target on his back, and a choice that would change what his mother's son became. Night crawled into Lagos slowly, its heat still clinging to the streets as if refusing to let go. The city never truly slept. Horns, generators, and the faint call of suya vendors stitched themselves into the humid air. By 8:45 p.m., Jordan Okoye stood alone near the flickering billboard at Freedom Way, Lekki. The message on it, "Your dream home awaits," had peeled edges half lit by a faulty bulb. He parked his SUV a short distance away and watched the cars pass in the wet glimmer of streetlights. Every sound felt sharper now, the hiss of a distant bus brake, the shuffle of feet somewhere behind him. In his jacket pocket the old key felt heavier than metal. A movement flickered near the billboard's base. A tall figure stepped out of the shadows, hood up, hands tucked into his pockets. The lazy swagger gave him away before the face did. "Troy," Jordan said. Troy's grin was visible even in the dark. "You came alone. Respect." "I didn't have a choice," Jordan replied. His voice was calm but his eyes were locked. "Where's the trunk?" "Somewhere safe." Troy's tone was almost playful. "Let's say, it's insurance. Against people who pay to make ghosts disappear." Jordan frowned. "You took it from Mama's room." Troy tilted his head. "She wanted me to. The night before she died she told me to keep it away from Vanessa. Said if anything happened I should wait for you." Jordan's heart lurched. "You're lying." "Maybe. But maybe she knew your wife better than you ever did." Troy pulled out his phone and played a short voice memo. Mama's frail voice filled the humid air. "If I go before I wake, keep it safe, my son." The papers. The truth. Only Jordan must see them. Jordan felt his knees weaken. "What truth?" Troy smiled faintly. "Your empire's foundation, bro. The woman you call your wife didn't marry you for love. She married you to cover what her family did." Jordan's mind raced. "What are you talking about?" Troy leaned closer. "Do you know who financed your first contract? That oil field in Port Harcourt? The one that made you a billionaire overnight? Vanessa's stepfather. But he didn't invest to make you rich, he was washing blood money. The kind that came from your real father's company." Jordan froze. "My real father? What do you mean?" Troy stepped back, eyes glinting. "Ask Mama's ghost, man. Or open the trunk." She left proof. Letters, adoption files, photos, everything. Vanessa found out, wanted it gone. She thought if she erased that link, you'd never know your fortune came from the man who abandoned you. The night seemed to tilt around him. Jordan took a deep breath. "Where's the trunk, Troy?" "I'll trade it," Troy said simply. "One favor. You protect me. Someone doesn't want me alive tonight. You think your wife's the only snake in this pit." Before Jordan could respond, a pair of headlights swung around the corner and stopped abruptly. Out stepped Detective Amara Jones, her face half lit by the headlights. "Mr. Okoye," she called, voice calm but firm. "You're supposed to be home." Jordan stiffened. "How did you?" "Your driver followed your car's tracker," Jones said. "And it's a good thing he did. Because 5 minutes ago, the technician who said he had your CCTV backup was found unconscious in a ditch near Falomo Bridge." Troy cursed under his breath. Jones' eyes shifted to him immediately. "And you are?" Troy raised his hands. "A messenger." "More like a thief," Jones said coldly. "We have surveillance footage from earlier tonight. You drove a white van out of Ikoyi with a missing trunk." Troy smirked. "You'll need more than footage to prove that." Jones nodded to the two plainclothes officers emerging behind her. "You're right. That's why we're taking you in for questioning." Troy turned to run. One of the officers lunged, grabbed his hoodie, but Troy slipped free, sprinting into the dark alley beside the billboard. "Stop!" Jones shouted, drawing her flashlight. The beam sliced through the night. Jordan's instincts took over. He bolted after Troy. His shoes splashed through puddles, his breath echoing against the walls. The alley twisted behind old buildings until it opened into a half-flooded compound behind an abandoned workshop. Troy climbed over a broken fence but slipped. Jordan caught his arm before he could recover. "Where is it?" he demanded. "The trunk, Troy. Tell me before they drag you off." Troy's grin was gone now, replaced by raw fear. "Storage unit. Surrelir. Name's Royal Safe Lock. Unit 47B. Keys in your pocket. Mama gave it to you." Jordan stared at him. "What's inside?" Troy opened his mouth to speak, then a crack split the night. A gunshot. Jordan flinched as Troy collapsed against the fence, eyes wide in shock, a red bloom spreading across his chest. He fell into the mud. Jordan spun around. No one. Only the echo fading. Detective Jones and her men rushed in seconds later. She crouched, checking Troy's pulse. Her jaw tightened. Gone. Jordan staggered back, his heart pounding. Someone shot him. From the rooftops. Jones nodded grimly. Sniper shot. Professional. She looked up at him, eyes hard now. Mr. Okoye, you're in danger. Whoever wanted that trunk gone just silenced a witness. Jordan's breath came fast. He said it's in Surulere. A place called Royal Safelock. Jones stood, brushing mud from her sleeve. Then that's where we go next. Later that night, Surulere. The storage facility was quiet except for the distant hum of generators. Jordan parked near the gate. Jones showed her badge to the sleepy security guard, who waved them in nervously. The air smelled of dust and diesel. Unit 47B was at the far end, its blue door marked by faint rust streaks. Jordan knelt and fitted the key into the lock. It turned smoothly. The door groaned open. Inside, under the weak fluorescent light, sat Mama Nkem's old blue trunk, exactly as in the photo. Faded paint, brass corners, and a name tag that read property of N. Nkemdalim. Jordan's hands trembled as he flipped the latch. Inside were neatly folded wrappers, old photographs, sealed envelopes, and a brown leather folder tied with red string. The top page was a birth certificate. His birth certificate. He scanned the names. His eyes widened. Father, Chief Obinna Chukwuma. Mother, Nkemdalim Chukwuma. Jordan's breath hitched. Mama was my mother. Jones frowned. What do you mean? She wasn't just my foster mother, Jordan whispered. She was my real mother. He picked up a letter written in Mama's careful cursive. My son, if you are reading this, I could no longer tell you in person. Your father was a powerful man and I was his housemaid. He hid your birth to protect his reputation. I raised you in silence so you would not grow up hunted by his enemies. Vanessa's family knew this. They used it. They made you believe you were a foster child, then married you to keep your inheritance in their hands. Forgive me for hiding it too long. Jordan sank to his knees, the world spinning. She was protecting me all along. Jones placed a hand on his shoulder. Mr. Okoye, we need to take these documents for evidence. He nodded slowly, wiping his eyes. She died because she knew this secret. Jones' gaze sharpened. And because someone wanted it buried. She opened another envelope. Inside was a bank statement, transfers from a Swiss account labeled Vanessa Holdings Limited to Third Coast Logistics. Jones exhaled. This connects your wife directly to Troy. He was on her payroll. Jordan clenched his fists. She paid him to hide the trunk, but he turned on her when Mama contacted him. Jones nodded grimly. And now he's dead. They loaded the trunk into the SUV, sealing it in a police evidence bag. Jordan stood by the open door, staring into the night. Jones turned to him. Mr. Okoye, from here on you'll need protection. Whoever pulled that trigger isn't done yet. Jordan's jaw tightened. I'm not hiding, detective. I'm going to end this. Jones met his eyes. Just don't end up like him, she said quietly, gesturing toward the distant memory of Troy's body. Back at the mansion, the lights were on in every window. Vanessa was waiting on the steps in a flowing white gown, her face a perfect picture of grief for the camera still camped outside. As Jordan stepped out of the car, she approached, whispering, You shouldn't have gone out tonight. The press is spinning stories already. He stared at her, his eyes hollow but burning. I know everything now, Vanessa. Her expression faltered for the first time. Everything? Jordan nodded. About Mama. About the money. About you. The silence that followed was heavier than thunder. Then Vanessa's smile returned, cold and brittle. Then you know you can't destroy me without destroying yourself too. Before Jordan could speak, a pair of red lights flickered across the gate, Detective Jones' team returning, siren lights muted. She stepped out and handed Vanessa a paper. Mrs. Okoye, Jones said evenly, we have a warrant to search your office, car and phone. You might want to call your lawyer. Vanessa's poise cracked. What is this nonsense? Jones looked at her calmly. Accessory to evidence destruction. Possible involvement in a death investigation. You know, small things. Vanessa turned to Jordan, her voice trembling now. Jordan, tell them. Tell them I didn't. But Jordan only stared back, the blue trunk's key glinting in his hand. Save it, he said quietly. Mama warned me. Jones turned to her team. Take her in. Vanessa struggled as the officer stepped forward. You'll regret this, Jordan, she hissed. You'll lose everything. As the car carrying Vanessa drove off into the humid Lagos night, Jordan stood in the driveway, staring at the house that had once been his dream. It now felt like a graveyard. Gambo walked up slowly. Oga, what'n you go do now? Jordan took a deep breath. "I'll do what Mama would have done," he said softly. "Finish it." He turned toward the house, the trunk still clutched tightly in his hand. But as he reached the door, his phone vibrated once more. A message flashed on the screen. "You think she's the only one who wanted Mama dead? Check the second envelope." Jordan froze. Slowly, he looked down at the trunk, where another sealed envelope lay hidden beneath the birth certificate. And when he opened it, what he saw made his knees buckle. The letter was signed not by Vanessa, not by Troy, but by Chief Obinna Chukwuma, the father he never knew. What do you think is inside? Proof of betrayal or another secret from his past? Tell us what you would do in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story so others can join the suspense. The house was too silent for a place once alive with laughter. Even the ticking wall clock seemed hesitant, like it feared interrupting what was about to unfold. Jordan stood in the dim study, the blue trunk open on the glass table before him. The letter in his hand bore a seal, an old family crest, the kind used by men who own more than companies. They own secrets. He broke the seal with shaking fingers. The paper inside was yellowed, edges fragile, but the handwriting was bold, firm, decisive strokes of a man used to control. "My son, if you are reading this, I am likely gone. Years ago I made choices no father should. I fell in love with a woman beneath my station, a housemaid named Nkemdalim. When she bore you, my family forced me to deny your existence. I sent her away with money, promising to bring you back when the time was right. But greed is a beast, my boy. I died watching the vultures at birth feed on what was once mine. Your wife's family, the Okoyes, were my partners. They helped me hide assets from the government, but when I died they took everything. Vanessa's stepfather swore he'd find you one day and marry you into the family, to keep control of my legacy. And he did. You've been living inside their plan. The woman you call wife knows the truth. The money that built your empire, your first company, your first investment, came from my hidden accounts, laundered through her father's shell firms. They made you the face of their wealth so no one would trace it back to the crimes of the Chukwumas and the Okoyes alike. I kept one account untouched. In it are documents that can destroy them all. The password is the name of the woman who raised you. Forgive me, son. I left you in their hands thinking you'd grow safe. I was wrong. Chief Obinna Chukwuma." Jordan's knees went weak. He sank into the chair, the paper fluttering in his lap. The sound of the letter sliding across the table echoed like a gavel. His father, the man whose name he never knew, had left him as a pawn in a game of greed. And Mama Nkem, the woman who had loved him like her own, had carried the shame and danger of that secret all her life. He pressed both palms against his eyes as if to hold back the rising tide. His chest hurt, not from grief, but from the weight of truth crushing every illusion he'd ever built. A soft knock broke the silence. "Sir?" It was Gambo peering through the half-open door. "Detective Jones is back. She says she found something." Jordan folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the trunk, and gestured for her to come in. Jones entered with a small envelope, sealed in evidence tape. "We traced the bullet that killed Troy," she said. "And the gun." Jordan straightened. "Whose was it?" Jones paused, studying his face. "Registered to you." Jordan's stomach dropped. "That's impossible. My firearm is locked in my bedroom safe." "Then you better come see," Jones said. "Because your safe was broken open." They hurried down the hall. Jordan's bedroom, once a sanctuary, was chaos. The safe door hung open, the keypad bent inward as if forced. His personal documents were scattered, and the weapon license folder lay empty. "Only two people have the code," Jordan said quietly. "Myself and Vanessa." Jones knelt, examining the keypad. "Forced entry," she confirmed. "No sign of her tonight, though. We're checking the station. She hasn't arrived for questioning." Jordan turned sharply. "What?" "She never made it to the precinct," Jones said. "The car escorting her was found abandoned on Eco Bridge. Doors open. Driver unconscious." Jordan ran a hand through his hair. "She escaped." Jones nodded grimly. "And now she has the power to frame you for murder." Later that night, Jordan sat on the edge of the bed, the city lights painting gold bars across the floor. The trunk sat open beside him. He lifted the folded letter again, tracing his father's name with his thumb. Everything made sense now. Vanessa's panic, her obsession with Mama's phone, her constant pressure to control the story. She hadn't been panicking because she was guilty. She'd been panicking because she'd lost control of the lie that built their fortune. He heard footsteps outside his door. Gambo's voice, low but tense. "Hoga, someone outside the gate." Says she must see you. Jordan frowned. At this hour? Yes, sir. Says she's Mama's sister. From ABA. Jordan's pulse skipped. Bring her in. Moments later, a small elderly woman in a faded blue wrapper entered the room. Her face was thin, eyes rimmed red. She clutched a leather purse close to her chest. I am Ngozi, she said softly. Nkemdalim's sister. Jordan stood immediately. Mama's sister? How did you find me? She smiled sadly. Your mother wrote me 2 weeks before she died. Told me if anything happened to her, I should bring you something. From her purse she pulled a folded photo. It was of Mama Nkem, holding a baby wrapped in a hospital blanket. A younger Chief Obinna stood beside her, face half-turned, one hand resting awkwardly on her shoulder. She wanted you to know she forgave him, Ngozi whispered. She said you'd need that peace before the storm comes. Jordan's throat tightened. There's more, isn't there? Ngozi nodded and opened her purse again. Inside was a small flash drive wrapped in a white handkerchief. She said this was the backup. Everything she couldn't put in the trunk. Jordan took it with trembling hands. Backup of what? Videos, Ngozi said quietly. And messages. From your wife's father. She recorded them years ago. Jones, who had been standing silently in the corner, stepped closer. We'll examine it at the station. Safely. But before Jordan could answer, the room lights flickered. Then went out. A loud thud echoed from the hallway. Jones drew her pistol instantly. Stay here, she ordered, moving toward the door. Jordan's pulse thundered in his ears. Ngozi clutched her purse tighter. From the darkness came a whisper of movement, too soft to be the detective's boots. Then suddenly gunfire. 1, 2, 3 shots. The sound ricocheted through the marble corridor. Jones's voice shouted from outside, Get down! The door burst open, a dark figure shoving through, hooded, gloved, gun in hand. The face that glared from beneath the hood froze Jordan where he stood. It was Vanessa. Her hair was undone, her eyes bloodshot. Mud streaked her white gown. You just couldn't stop digging, she hissed. You had everything, money, power, respect, but you had to ruin it all. Jordan's chest clenched. You killed Troy. You deleted the footage. You tried to kill Mama. I didn't try, she snapped. I did. Because she was going to tell you everything. About your real father, about me, about what this life really cost. Jones's voice rang from the dark hall. Vanessa. Put the gun down. Vanessa's laughter was sharp and broken. Stay out of this, detective. This is between husband and wife. Jordan stepped forward, slowly, palms raised. Vanessa, look at me. You're not thinking clearly. She lifted the gun, pointing it at his chest. I've never been clearer. Everything we built was built on lies. Your mother wanted to expose us, to take back the inheritance, the company, the name. She had to go. Jones moved quietly along the wall, shadow to shadow. Vanessa, she said softly, you don't want to do this. Vanessa's lip trembled. You don't know what I want anymore. Her finger tightened on the trigger. And Jones lunged. The gun went off, deafening in the enclosed space. Vanessa screamed as the weapon was knocked from her hand. It skidded across the floor, clattering beneath the table. Jones kicked it away and shoved Vanessa to the ground, cuffing her wrists with efficient precision. Jordan stood frozen, ears ringing. The smell of gunpowder filled the room. Ngozi sobbed quietly into her wrapper. Jones looked up at him. You all right? He nodded numbly. Yes. Then his voice cracked. No. Vanessa spat on the floor. You think this changes anything? The board will bury you. Every penny you own traces back to my family's blood. You're nothing without us. Jones hauled her to her feet. We'll let the evidence decide. Vanessa met Jordan's eyes one last time. You'll see, husband, she sneered. The truth you wanted so badly will ruin you too. They dragged her away. The echo of her heels faded into the night. Jordan stood still for a long while, the flash drive cold in his palm. Ngozi touched his arm gently. Your mother used to say, truth burns but it also cleans. Maybe now her soul can rest. He looked out the window. Dawn was breaking, the first gray light touching the rooftops of Lagos. The city moved on, uncaring, alive. He whispered, I'll make it right, Mama. I promise. Hours later, at the police station, the flash drive was connected to a monitor. The screen flickered, then revealed a video time-stamped 4 months earlier. Mama sat at her kitchen table, wearing her favorite blue headscarf, voice steady but eyes tired. If this message reaches you, my son, she said, know that love can build and destroy. I forgive those who wronged me, but you must not let evil prosper in silence. Whatever they took from you, reclaim it, but with wisdom, not vengeance. Jordan's vision blurred with tears. Then Mama's tone shifted, sharper. There's one more truth, my son. The one they will never tell you. The man you call father didn't die as they said. He lives. Jordan froze. The detective's eyes widened. Your father is alive? Mama's recorded voice continued, calm and certain. He lives in Ghana under another name. And he's waiting for you. The screen went black. Jordan's heart pounded. His mind raced through every revelation, every lie, every scar. Vanessa behind bars. Mama gone. A father he'd been told was dead, alive across the border. He looked up at Detective Jones. We're going to Ghana. Jones nodded slowly. Then the story isn't over yet. Comment below what you would do. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share this story so others can follow this incredible twist. The morning sun crept lazily across the Lagos skyline, glinting off glass towers and flooding Jordan's living room with pale gold light. But there was no peace in that light. Only memories, shadows of screams, ghosts of betrayal. Detective Amara Jones stood by the window, arms folded, watching Jordan pace the room like a lion caged too long. The blue trunk lay open on the center table, the old papers now neatly arranged in a police evidence folder. You don't have to go to Ghana yourself, Jones said quietly. Interpol can coordinate with Accra. We can verify if this Chief Obinna Chukwuma is alive under a new name. Jordan stopped pacing, his voice low. He's not just a case file detective. He's my father. The man who abandoned my mother. The man whose lies built this empire. He looked up at her. I need to look him in the eyes. I need to hear him say it. Jones studied him for a moment. You're not going there for justice, are you? You're going for closure. Jordan's mouth tightened. Maybe both. She nodded slowly. Then I'm coming with you. If your father's alive, he's connected to everything, Vanessa, the stolen funds, even the cover-up that cost your mother her life. 2 days later, Accra, Ghana. The plane touched down just as the rain began, soft and relentless. Ghana felt calmer than Lagos. The streets moved slower, the air less charged. But for Jordan, every heartbeat carried the weight of 1,000 questions. They drove through OSU, past narrow lanes and glowing roadside kiosks, until Jones directed the driver toward a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of East Legon. According to the file Interpol shared that morning, Chief Obinna Chukwuma had been living for the past 15 years under the name Ebenezer Mensah, a retired businessman who owned a cocoa export firm. Jones turned to Jordan in the back seat. He thinks everyone who knew his real identity is dead. If he sees you, the shock alone might make him talk. Jordan nodded silently. When the car stopped in front of a cream-colored villa with green shutters, the gate opened before they could knock. A tall Ghanaian man in a brown kaftan stepped out, leaning on a walking stick. His hair was silver now, but his face, strong jaw, sharp eyes, was unmistakable. For a moment, both men stared at each other. Jordan took a step forward. You know who I am. The older man blinked slowly. Jordan. His voice carried the weight of years. You look just like her. Jones remained a few steps back, watching quietly. Jordan's fists clenched. Why did you lie to her? To Mama Nkem? Why did you let her raise me in secret while you lived like a king? Obinna's shoulders sagged. I didn't lie, son. I ran. I ran from men who would have killed you both. Back then the oil deals were dirty, blood money. When I refused to join them, they framed me for fraud. I faked my death and hid here. Jordan's voice cracked. And you never came back? You left her to suffer? To raise me alone while they hunted her? Obinna closed his eyes. I sent money. Every year. Through Vanessa's family, Jordan said bitterly. The same family that laundered your money. The same people who killed her. Obinna flinched, the truth cutting deep. They promised to protect you. Protect me? Jordan spat. They made me a puppet. They turned my life into a crime scene. Rain pattered softly on the porch roof. Neither spoke for several seconds. Finally, Obinna gestured toward the door. Come inside. There are things you need to see. The living room was simple, bookshelves lined with old ledgers and framed photos of cocoa farms. On the wall hung a faded portrait of a younger Obinna with Mama Nkem. Jordan stopped in front of it, his throat tightening. Obinna unlocked a drawer and brought out a thick envelope. This, he said, is what they killed her for. Inside were handwritten agreements, account details, and photos of Obinna shaking hands with high-ranking politicians, proof of the illegal contracts that had once financed their rise. Jones skimmed through them, her brow furrowed. These connect directly to Vanessa's stepfather, Chief Odwell Okoye. Offshore laundering, fake corporations. Everything ties together. Jordan stared at the papers. So this is it. The scandal that would ruin both families. Obinna nodded slowly. Your wife's father wanted to bury it forever. And Vanessa, she did what she thought necessary to protect her bloodline. Jordan's voice broke. She murdered my mother for this. Obinna looked at him with sorrowful eyes. Then ended. Clear her name and yours. Expose the truth. Jones folded the documents carefully. With this, we can bring down every name on those accounts. But Jordan didn't move. His gaze lingered on his father. And what happens to you? I've been dead for 20 years, Obinna said quietly. Let me stay that way. Jones glanced at him. You'll need to testify, sir. These crimes don't vanish because of age. Obinna gave a sad smile. Detective, I'm an old man with failing kidneys. I'll testify, but not for revenge. For her. He turned to Jordan. She forgave me long before I deserved it. You must do the same. Jordan swallowed hard, emotion swelling like a tide. You don't understand, father. I buried her with my own hands. I watched the woman who raised me die in agony. Forgiveness doesn't come easy. Obinna's eyes glistened. Then let justice be your forgiveness. That night, Jordan sat by the window of his hotel room, staring out at the rain-washed streets. The blue trunk sat open on the bed, its contents spread like ghosts, letters, documents, fragments of a life built on secrets. Jones walked in holding her phone. Interpol confirmed the arrests in Lagos. Vanessa's stepfather, Chief Odwell, was caught trying to flee the country through the Benin border. The accounts have been frozen. Jordan didn't smile. And Vanessa? She's cooperating, Jones said. She's agreed to testify against her father. She claims he forced her hand. Jordan gave a hollow laugh. There's always someone else to blame. Jones studied him quietly. You don't have to go back, you know. You could rebuild anywhere. Abuja, Accra, even New York. Start again. Jordan looked out at the rain. Starting again doesn't erase what's been done. Maybe not, Jones said. But it's how healing begins. He turned to her, eyes weary but calm. Tomorrow we take these files back to Nigeria. Mama deserves to rest in peace, and those who destroyed her life must answer for it. Jones nodded. You'll have the police behind you this time. Jordan sighed and rubbed his temples. No, detective. This time I won't need the police. She frowned. What do you mean? He looked up slowly, voice like steel. I'll use what I know best. Business, power, influence. I'll take everything they built with her blood and turn it to dust. Jones' gaze sharpened. Don't let vengeance consume you, Mr. Okoye. That's how these cycles never end. Jordan smiled faintly, though there was no joy in it. Vengeance? No. I'm giving them what they gave me, a legacy built on consequences. The next morning, Jordan visited his father one last time. Obinna sat beneath a mango tree, sunlight dappled across his weathered face. You're leaving, the old man said. Jordan nodded. There's still work to do. Obinna sighed. When you return to Lagos, go to the chapel behind her grave. Your mother left something there. What? Obinna smiled weakly. The thing she valued more than truth. Jordan frowned, confused, but before he could ask, the old man reached out and clasped his hand. Make sure her forgiveness wasn't wasted. As the plane lifted off that afternoon, Jordan watched Ghana shrink below the clouds. He thought of Mama's laughter, of Vanessa's betrayal, of his father's hollow eyes, and of the chapel waiting in Lagos with yet another secret buried in its walls. He closed his eyes and whispered, Mama, I'm coming home. Tell us what you would do in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story so others can follow Jordan's journey of truth and redemption. The plane touched down in Lagos just before dusk. Through the window, the city stretched wide and restless, bathed in amber light that turned every rooftop into a blade. Jordan's jaw was tight as he unbuckled his seat belt. His return didn't feel like coming home, it felt like entering a battlefield. Detective Amara Jones waited for him at the terminal, phone in one hand, expression unreadable. Vanessa's father's been transferred to Abuja for interrogation, she said as they walked toward the car. Your wife's still in custody. She's requested to see you. Jordan paused mid-stride. Why? She says she has something to give you. Something your mother left behind that she hid after the attack. His brows furrowed. What could possibly be left? Jones shrugged. Only one way to find out. Kirikiri Women's Prison. Later that evening. The visiting hall smelled faintly of bleach and despair. Guards watched from behind bulletproof glass as Vanessa Okoye was led in, wrists cuffed, eyes hollow. Her once flawless hair now hung in uneven curls, her designer blouse replaced by gray prison wear. She sat across from Jordan, a faint tremor in her hands. "You came," she said softly. Jordan folded his arms. "You said you had something for me." Vanessa gave a sad smile. "Not everything I did was for greed, Jordan. Some of it was for survival. I grew up watching men like your father destroy women like my mother. I swore I'd never be powerless again." He didn't answer. His silence was a wall. Vanessa continued, voice cracking slightly. "The day Mama died, she gave me something, a small Bible. She said if anything happened to her, you'd know what to do with it. I was too angry to care. I hid it in the chapel behind her grave." Jordan's eyes lifted. "The chapel?" "Yes," she whispered. "In the hollow under the altar. I swear I didn't read it. But she made me promise to keep it safe." Jordan leaned forward. "Why tell me now?" "Because I'm done fighting ghosts," Vanessa said. "And because part of me still loved her. She reminded me of the mother I lost." He watched her closely, searching for the lie. There wasn't one, only exhaustion. "Your trial will begin soon," he said quietly. "I know," she replied. "But if you find that Bible, maybe you'll finally understand everything." For a brief second, the woman who once stood beside him on red carpets and charity galas looked fragile, human again. Then the guards led her away. Jones approached from the hallway. "What did she say?" "She confirmed my father's story," Jordan said. "And something else. Mama left me another message." Jones nodded. "Then we go find it. The chapel behind the grave." Night had fallen by the time they reached the small chapel near the edge of the old cemetery in Surulere. The air was damp, heavy with the scent of wet earth and hibiscus. Jordan carried a flashlight. The beam danced across cracked walls and faded murals. His mother's grave sat behind the altar, marked with the simple words, "Nkemdalim Chakuma, a mother's love never dies." He knelt, running a hand over the engraved name. "I'm back, Mama," he whispered. Jones watched quietly as he circled to the back of the chapel. There, beneath the wooden altar, was a narrow cavity sealed with wax. Jordan pried it open carefully. Inside lay a small, weather-worn Bible wrapped in white cloth. He opened it. Between the thin pages was a folded piece of paper, and beneath it, a USB drive. Jones took the drive carefully. "We'll check this later. Read the letter first." Jordan unfolded it. The handwriting was unmistakable, his mother's steady, neat script. "My son, if you have found this, it means the truth has reached you. You now know who your father is and what they did. But there is one more secret, the one I could not bear to tell you in life. The blood that runs in you is not only of the Chukwumas or the Okoyes. You carry a name they erased long ago, the name of the man I truly loved. He was a driver in your father's household, kind and humble. When Obina's family forced me to marry him in secret, they swore they'd destroy him. They kept their word. His name was Kelechi, and you are his son. Obina took you as his own to hide his shame, not his love. He used you to silence his guilt. But Kelechi's blood, your real father's blood, is pure. Remember that when the world calls you the son of a sinner. My greatest hope is that truth will set you free, not chain you to the past. Forgive them all, my son, and live. Maman Kemdalam." Jordan's eyes blurred. The flashlight trembled in his grip. He'd spent his life chasing power, wealth, names, and now he didn't even know which name was truly his. Jones stood still for a long moment, her voice gentle. "You were never built by their sins, Jordan. You were built by her strength." He nodded slowly, folding the letter. "She never wanted revenge. She wanted peace." "Then give her that," Jones said. "End it cleanly." Back at the police HQ. They plugged the USB into a secure laptop. The screen came alive with old video recordings, secret conversations between Chief Odwale Okoye and corrupt politicians, including several government officials and Obina himself. Jones leaned closer. "This is explosive. She must have hidden the camera herself." One video caught Jordan's attention. It showed Vanessa's father handing a sealed envelope to a younger Obina. "If anyone finds out about that child," Odwale said, "our families burn together. We keep him in line, through her." Obina replied quietly, "Then God help us when the truth finds him." Jordan turned away, chest tight. Jones exhaled. "This evidence clears you completely, and it'll put half of Lagos politics behind bars." Jordan's eyes were cold. "Release it. All of it. To the press, to the court, to the world." Jones nodded. Are you sure? Once it's out, there's no going back. He looked at the Bible on the table. Mama said truth burns, but it also cleans. Jones pressed send. The files uploaded to the central database and mirrored to every major media house within minutes. The next morning, the news hit like a storm. Headlines blazed across Nigeria. Massive political scandal exposed by billionaire Jordan Okoye, hidden lineage revealed. Wife and father-in-law arrested in multi-billion naira corruption web. Social media exploded. Some praised Jordan's courage. Others called him cursed, a man whose wealth was born of blood. Through it all, Jordan remained silent. He stood on the balcony of his penthouse, watching the sunrise wash over the lagoon. Jones joined him, holding 2 cups of coffee. You did it, she said softly. The truth is free. Jordan nodded. But it cost me everything. Jones looked at him. Maybe that's what it takes to build something clean. He took the coffee, staring out at the horizon. The courts will handle them. My father. Her father. Vanessa. All of them. And you? Jones asked. I'm going to rebuild Mama's orphanage, he said quietly. In her name. With clean money this time. Jones smiled faintly. That's a start. For a moment they stood in silence, listening to the morning city come alive. The horns, the calls of vendors, the rush of a city that never mourned too long. Then Jordan whispered almost to himself, maybe this is what freedom feels like. But even as he said it, a message pinged on his phone. A no number again. He opened it. You exposed them. But you missed one. Attached was a photo, Detective Amara Jones shaking hands with Chief Odwell Okoye at a charity gala 3 years ago. Jordan's face hardened. Detective, what is this? Jones turned, eyes widening slightly. Where did you get that? Answer me. Before she could speak, the phone buzzed again, another message. She was paid to protect them. The truth isn't done burning. Jordan looked at her in silence, the morning light glinting off the blue trunk key still hanging around his neck. And for the first time in days he felt the chill of danger crawl back up his spine. Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe, like and share this story to see what happens next. The sunlight that once looked golden now felt like fire. Jordan stood frozen on the balcony, phone trembling in his grip. The photo stared back at him, a smiling Detective Amara Jones, years younger, hand clasped with Chief Odwell Okoye at a gala. The very man she just helped arrest. He lifted his eyes slowly to where she stood beside him, coffee cup still steaming. Tell me this is fake, he said quietly. Jones blinked, confusion flashing across her face. What are you talking about? He held up the phone. That's you, Detective. Smiling beside the same man who paid for my mother's death. Her jaw tightened. That photo's real. It's from a charity event. But I didn't know who he really was back then. Didn't know, Jordan repeated, voice flat. Or didn't care? Jones set the coffee aside. Jordan, listen to me. I was part of the anti-corruption task force before I joined homicide. Odwell Okoye was one of our donors. He funded police initiatives through a front company. I didn't know it was dirty money until his name showed up in your mother's files. Jordan's phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. She's lying. She's been feeding your moves to someone else. Check her call log. He looked up at her, suspicion clouding reason. Give me your phone, Detective. Jones stared at him, incredulous. Excuse me? Your phone? Jordan repeated. If you've got nothing to hide. Her hand hovered over her pocket. This isn't how it works, Mr. Okoye. Then maybe you're not who you said you are. The air thickened between them. For the first time, Jordan saw something shift in Jones's expression. Not guilt, but frustration. She pulled out her phone and tossed it on the table. Go ahead. Check it. I've got nothing to hide. Jordan unlocked it, no password. He scrolled through her recent calls. The last outgoing call was to Interpol Ghana headquarters. Before that, Lagos Forensic Department. Then one number without a name from the night before. He tapped it. The line rang twice. Then a voice answered. A man's voice. Come. Familiar. Detective Jones, the voice said. Are we clear for phase 2? Jordan froze. He knew that voice. He'd heard it once years ago, when he signed his first oil contract. Chief Odwell's lawyer. He ended the call instantly, his pulse spiking. You're still working for them. Jones's brow furrowed. Jordan, wait. He stepped back. You used me. You led me straight to Ghana, made me dig up my father, expose everything so they could clean up the evidence behind me. Jones raised both hands. Listen to me. That number isn't what you think. It's part of an ongoing sting. Enough, Jordan snapped. I trusted you. He turned to leave. Jones caught his arm. If you walk out now, you'll fall right into their trap. You think these people don't plan 10 steps ahead? That message wasn't from them warning you, it was from them trying to divide us. He stared at her, trying to read her face. Jones lowered her voice. You're not the only one they betrayed, Jordan. They killed my partner 3 years ago for getting too close. That's why I took your mother's case, to finish what he started. Silence stretched between them. The only sound was the distant hum of Lagos traffic. Jordan looked at her phone again. The call log. The evidence. The photo. And the exhaustion in her eyes. Then prove it, he said finally. Show me what phase 2 means. Jones exhaled, relief flickering briefly. She took back her phone, tapped a series of encrypted codes and opened a hidden folder. A map appeared, a digital blueprint of the Okoye properties, offshore accounts, and a name at the center of it all, Project Renaissance. What's this? Jordan asked. Jones's voice dropped to a whisper. The final stage of their plan. They knew their empire would fall, so they started moving assets into a global front, one run by someone new. Someone you trust. She turned the phone screen toward him. At the center of the web was his own name, Jordan Okoye Holdings. Jordan's blood ran cold. That's my company. Jones nodded grimly. Not anymore. While you were in Ghana, documents were filed to transfer ownership of your firm to a shadow board, Vanessa's cousin, Odwell's lawyer, and one anonymous stakeholder. Jordan clenched his fists. They're trying to make me the fall guy again. Jones locked eyes with him. They're not just trying. They've already succeeded. That night, the Okoye mansion. The mansion was dark when Jordan returned. The guards were gone. The air was heavy with the smell of rain-soaked dust. He moved through the halls quietly, memories pressing down with every step, the sound of his mother's laughter, the echo of Vanessa's scream, the moment his world split in two. In the study, the blue trunk still sat on the table, half open. The key around his neck felt like a burden now. He unlocked it once more and began digging through its remaining contents. At the very bottom, beneath the old photographs, he found a slim black notebook embossed with gold initials. Oh. Chief Odwell Okoye. Inside were records of payments, coded, dated, and signed. But one line stood out. Final transfer to account under J. Okoye, completion of Renaissance Fund. Jordan's throat tightened. They forged my signature. Behind him, a soft voice said, No, Jordan. We didn't have to forge it. He spun around. Vanessa stood in the doorway wearing a prison-issued gray jacket, hair damp, eyes wild. A faint bruise circled her wrist where the cuffs had been. The guards outside hadn't even seen her come in. You should be in custody, he said, voice low. I was, she whispered. Until your father bought my release. Jordan's breath caught. Obinna? Vanessa nodded. He's not the man you think he is. You believed his story because you needed to. But he's been playing both sides since before you were born. Liar, Jordan said, though his voice lacked conviction. Vanessa stepped closer. Ask yourself, why did he run to Ghana instead of confessing? Why did he suddenly help you when the truth got too close? Because he's the one who ordered Mama's death. He couldn't risk her telling you who your real father was. Jordan shook his head, backing away. No. He's not your savior, Vanessa said softly. He's the architect. Every lie, every death, every scandal, he built it. Jones suddenly appeared at the door, gun drawn. Don't move, Vanessa. Vanessa raised her hands, smirking through her tears. Detective Jones. Still protecting your boss, I see. What are you talking about? Jones demanded. Vanessa's smile deepened. He hasn't told you, has he? The man funding Project Renaissance, the one who paid your task force for years, wasn't Odwell. It was Obinna Chukwuma, the man who calls himself Jordan's father. Jones froze. That's not possible. Check your files, Vanessa said. You'll see the same offshore code linking them both. Jordan's mind spun. His father. His supposed father. His enemy. All one and the same. Vanessa's voice softened. You think truth cleans everything, Jordan? No. Truth burns until there's nothing left. That's what your mother didn't tell you. For a moment, her eyes glistened with something like sorrow. And I hope it burns him too. Before Jones could react, Vanessa lunged, grabbing the side table lamp and smashing it against the wall, plunging the room into darkness. Gunfire erupted. A scream. Shattered glass. Then silence. When the emergency lights flickered on, Vanessa was gone. Jones was on the floor, arm bleeding, clutching her side. Jordan knelt beside her, heart pounding. "Stay still. You'll be okay," she groaned. She ran toward the gate. Jordan grabbed her radio and called it in. But as the sirens grew faintly closer, his phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. "You're running out of time. Your father's leaving tonight." Attached was a photo. Chief Obinna at Murtala Muhammad Airport, standing beside a private jet. Jordan's hand shook as he stared at it. Jones gritted her teeth through the pain. "Jordan, don't go alone." He stood, eyes blazing. "He's the last one left, detective. And I'm done running." He picked up the trunk key, slipped it into his pocket, and walked out into the night. Rain starting to fall, thunder rolling far in the distance. Somewhere between the lies and the blood, the truth waited for him at the airport. And this time he would face it with his own hands. The rain came hard that night, angry, relentless, drumming against the windshield of Jordan's SUV as he sped toward the airport. Each flash of lightning lit up the Lagos sky like an omen. The message still glowed on his phone screen beside him. "Your father's leaving tonight." Every beat of his heart matched the wiper's rhythm. Faster. Harder. Angrier. Behind him, the city blurred, a mosaic of lights, betrayal, and ghosts. Ahead, the truth waited at Murtala Muhammad International Airport. 9:37 p.m., private jet terminal. The runway shimmered with rain. Two black SUVs idled near a sleek white jet whose engines purred softly. A handful of men in suits moved around, loading small silver cases into the cargo bay. Jordan parked a distance away, his pulse a steady roar in his ears. He stepped into the downpour, jacket clinging to his chest. Every breath he took steamed in the cold air. He walked with purpose, past security, past the glare of headlights, until his voice cut through the storm. "Obinna." The old man turned slowly at the sound of his name. Even under the floodlights he looked composed, too composed. A polished man in a beige coat, silver hair glistening with rain. "Jordan," he said as if they were meeting for dinner, not war. "I was hoping to leave quietly." Jordan stopped a few meters away. "Running again?" Obinna smiled faintly. "It's what kept me alive." "Alive long enough to ruin everyone else's life," Jordan shot back. "Mama's, Vanessa's, mine." Obinna's face softened. "I never wanted her dead." "But you ordered it," Jordan hissed. The older man's silence was answer enough. Jordan's voice shook. "She died screaming your name. And you still stood behind your lies." Obinna took a step forward. "Listen to me, son. I'm not your son." Jordan's shout cut through the storm like thunder. "She told me everything. Kelechi was my real father. You stole me to bury your shame. You let her raise me like a secret because you were too much of a coward to face your sins." Obinna's eyes narrowed. "And yet you wear my name. My fortune built your empire. You carry my blood in everything you own." Jordan took another step closer, rain streaking his face like tears. "You're wrong. I carry her love. And her forgiveness. That's more than your blood ever gave me." A brief silence fell. The men behind Obinna shifted uneasily. Jones's voice echoed faintly through Jordan's earpiece. He had called her before leaving. "Backup's 5 minutes away," she said. "Do not engage him alone." But it was too late for restraint. Obinna sighed, rain dripping from his chin. "You think you can undo decades of power with one trunk of letters? One scandal?" He gestured toward the jet. "When I leave Nigeria tonight, every man who could prosecute me will already have my money in his pocket." Jordan took one step closer. "Then you won't leave." Obinna's men reached for their jackets, but Obinna raised a hand to stop them. "Let him speak," he said. "My boy wants closure. Let him have it." Jordan's fingers clenched around the blue trunk key in his pocket, the last relic of his mother's love. He pulled it out and held it toward the old man. "This," he said, "was the only key that ever mattered. The one that opened the truth." Obinna's gaze flickered. "And what did you do with that truth, HM? You think you've purified the world by exposing me? You've destroyed your own name, your companies, your legacy." "Then I'll build it again," Jordan said. "Clean this time." Obinna smiled, weary and mocking. "The world doesn't reward purity, son. It devours it." A shot cracked through the storm. Both men froze. One of Obinna's guards fell to the ground. Another dove for cover. "Sniper!" someone shouted. Chaos erupted. Jordan hit the ground as bullets sliced through the air, sparking against the jet's fuselage. Obinna ducked behind a car, shouting orders. Jones's voice screamed in Jordan's earpiece. Hold your position. We're 2 minutes out. Jordan crawled toward cover, rain mixing with mud beneath his palms. Another shot rang, grazing his shoulder. He hissed in pain but kept moving. When the gunfire paused, he glanced up and saw a shadow moving across the upper platform of the hangar. A slim figure in a soaked gray jacket, rifle raised. Vanessa. His heart stopped. She fired again, this time at Obina's SUV. Glass shattered. Men screamed. Jordan stood up despite the pain, shouting, "Vanessa! Don't do this." Her voice echoed through the rain. "You wanted the truth? Here it is." She fired again, this time hitting the jet's fuel line. A hiss of flame bloomed along the side. Obina staggered from behind the SUV, face pale. "Vanessa, are you mad? You'll kill us all." Her voice cracked, part laughter, part sob. "Maybe that's justice." Jones's vehicle screeched onto the tarmac. Officers poured out, shouting orders. "Drop the weapon." Vanessa turned toward Jordan, tears streaking her rain-soaked face. "Tell me, Jordan, did she forgive me? Did your mother forgive me?" Jordan's voice broke. "She forgave everyone." For a second, Vanessa's grip faltered. Then she looked up at the sky and whispered, "Then I can finally rest." She dropped the rifle, just as the leaking fuel caught flame. The explosion tore through the hangar. Jordan was thrown backward, hitting the wet ground hard. The heat seared his skin, metal rained down like fire. He blinked through smoke and chaos, ears ringing. "Vanessa," he shouted. But she was gone, swallowed by flame. Obina lay nearby, pinned under twisted metal, coughing blood. Jordan crawled to him, ignoring the pain. "Hold on," he said, trying to lift the beam. The old man's hand clutched his wrist weakly. "It's too late." "Don't say that," Jordan hissed. Obina's eyes softened, the first honest look Jordan had ever seen in them. "She was right. You were never mine, but I always loved you as if you were." Jordan froze, tears mixing with the rain. Obina coughed, blood staining his lips. "Promise me one thing, build something good from this, for her." "I will," Jordan whispered. "I swear." The old man smiled faintly. "Then maybe we're both forgiven." His grip loosened. His eyes went still. Jordan closed them gently, the roar of fire and sirens filling the night. 1 week later, Mama and Kem's graveside. The sky was quiet now. Only the wind moved through the trees. Jordan stood alone by his mother's grave, the rebuilt chapel glowing softly behind him. The blue trunk rested beside the headstone, its lid open to the wind. He placed the trunk key on the grave. "It's over, Mama," he said softly. "The lies, the greed, the hate, you burned it all away." He took a deep breath. "You were right. Truth does burn, but it also cleans." Behind him, Detective Jones approached slowly, her arms still bandaged. "Funerals tomorrow," she said quietly. The government confirmed the arrests. Vanessa's family, the ministers, the offshore brokers, every name from that drive. "They won't escape this time." Jordan nodded. "And my father?" Jones sighed. "We found what was left of him near the jet. The world will call him a criminal, but history will know you exposed him." Jordan didn't look away from the grave. "I didn't expose him for history. I did it for her." Jones studied him a moment. "And for yourself." He smiled faintly. "Maybe." She looked down at the open trunk. "What will you do now?" Jordan exhaled. "Mama wanted peace. So that's what I'll build." He turned toward the chapel. "The orphanage reopens next month. Under a new name, the Kem Foundation. Every child there will know her story. And mine." Jones smiled softly. "That's justice worth fighting for." As she walked away, Jordan knelt again, pressing his hand to the cool marble. "Sleep well, Mama," he whispered. "Your son finally made it home." The wind carried the words like a prayer. The last flame of sunset dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in colors of gold and forgiveness. And as the light faded, the camera of life pulled back, showing the man who lost everything yet gained what truly mattered: truth, redemption, and peace. If you were in Jordan's place, faced with betrayal, blood, and truth, would you forgive or take revenge? What part of this story touched you the most? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so others can experience this powerful African folktale of truth, forgiveness, and destiny.